intelligence officers and psychologists and psychiatrists are asking themselves very many questions concerning the shooting of Boniface Mwangi Kariuki. We will try in our very little way also to reason that way. There is the question of what was going on in the mind of the cop shortly before, during, and after he shot the mask seller. What was going on in his mind? Let us try to understand it. With the due respect to the judiciary, a conviction of manslaughter will obviously come to pass. I'm saying with the due respect to the judiciary because the laws of Kenya says that once a case is in before court, you are not supposed to comment on it. It is said that if you comment on it, you may sway the witnesses, you may even sway the bench, or you can even sway the public opinion about it. That is why we say here that with due respect to the judiciary, and we come up to the conclusion that a conviction of manslaughter will obviously come to pass. Mark this space. As pained as we are, we must be realistic. As pained as we are, we must be realistic. It is purely a case of manslaughter. Manslaughter, the best definition of manslaughter is in Kiswahili. Kuua bila kukusudia. Kuua bila kukusudia. If you understand it in Kiswahili, it becomes even easier to understand. This person did a guilty act of shooting or even killing another human being, but he had no malice aforethought. I'm trying to read a lot between the lines. I'm trying to read between the line, and it is important to understand the following among others. What was going on through the mind of the police officer and his colleague, the two of them, before, during, and after the shooting? It is quite important. Boniface Mwangi Kariuki is gone forever. But this one can be used, especially in the training facilities of the police. We have gone through this. Future recruits, this case should be a case study for them. We should understand that. We may never understand what went through their mind because of various reasons. We may never understand what was going through their mind because it is almost impossible to retrieve the whole information concerning what actually happened at that critical moment. Of course, Boniface Mwangi Kariuki is long dead. And even when he was on the machine, he was not in a position to talk. If magic would have happened and he recovered, there is a problem with the brains. Problem with the brains. We have even had cases where somebody has a brain damage to an extent that he becomes like a baby again. We have those cases. If you ask people in Madare, they'll tell you. This is somebody whom they'll start teaching. Somebody in adulthood, he'll start being taught things such as wearing of nappy, learning things A, B, C, D. He even goes to pre-unit And such a person, wonder of wonder, he can even go up to the university. So with a big damage on his brain, if he were to recover, it was possible even for him never to remember that incident. Or he could even remember everything in his life except that critical moment. That critical moment. So recreation of that critical moment is really hard. And then again, we have a situation where these two police officers, uh, whatever they say, we can never countercheck it, and they are even confused. For example, the cop who is now attending the case, he's so confused. He doesn't know what to say. He doesn't know what to keep. He doesn't know what to add the salt on. He doesn't. He's just too confused, and his prayers is just that a magic be found for him to be found not guilty. So in that confusion, we cannot say that the environment is good for us to mine the truth. But what is obvious from those those few seconds of the video shoot, you see that the two cops bypassed other civilians. They bypassed other civilians to the left, to the right, and even in front of Boniface Mwangi. They just went up to him. It is like other people didn't exist. And Boniface Mwangi Karaoke was a mask seller. It shows that what Charles Owino was alleging, that he abused them, shows that there could be some truth in it. It shows that Boniface Mwangi Karaoke may have run away until he was tired or decided to stand still. Now, according to, as I've said, according to Charles Owino, former police spokesman, and I would advise Charles Owino that he's no longer the police spokesman. There is somebody, I'm forgetting, is a senior, is an assistant inspector general. Allow him to do his work. We have, okay, I don't know your current current position, and you have worked for so long as a police spokesman, maybe, but we have a government spokesman, uh, Honorable Isaac. Then we have the National Police Service spokesman, and we have the Kenya Police spokesman. Sometimes we have to know the boundaries. Yes, the work of the Kenya Police Service spokesman is within the time frame, within the framework of National Police Service spokesman, and both of them are under the national and under Isaac Mwaura. But there are times when you let the other one talk, especially on matters that are strictly within his purview. For I'm convinced as of now that he must have talked something, or he must have abused the two cops, or even one of them, to such an extent that they got annoyed and followed him. That is where we come to lesson number one: anger management. Anger management. Assuming that these are the very same words that Boniface used, then the two police officers need not to be in service. They need not to be in service. If what Charles Owino has said is what Boniface Mwangi Karaoke said, then these two people are not supposed to be in service. Because in Kiganjo, even in the 80s when we were there as recruits, we were taught things that to do with anger management. You see, Raia or those people demonstrating are not trained in demonstration, but you are trained in countering the demonstration. You are trained in anger management. If you didn't pass that, as things are showing now, that somebody can just in Kiganjo you are supposed to. It is just that we are not supposed to. We are not supposed to talk it publicly. But then, if you talk to people of my age who are police officers, will tell you what Sergeant Major Wakalundu once told his own daughter before hundreds of recruits. His own daughter. He talked some unprintable things to his own daughter. I cannot say it so, but if you know any police officer who was in Kiganjo in the 80s, he'll tell you that what. So what I'm trying to say here is that in Kiganjo, people are taught, and I think this example also should go there to an extent that the kind of matusi you get in Kiganjo prepares you to this, so that when you come to the world, people can abuse you, can use so much abusive words, but you will not understand. I mean, you will not be moved. You will be not be moved, because those are the things that uh, those are the things that you faced in Kiganjo. So training in Kiganjo is deliberately to make you persevere even more hard abuses, both physical and verbal. You can get physical abuses, you can get verbal abuses, or you can get both. But training in Kiganjo prepares you for both, for the three scenarios: either physical abuses, uh, verbal abuse, or both. Remember, the Narok police officer, he had his hand chopped off, but he never fired back. I just want to ask you, look at the Narok police officer. He was of the same rank as them. The video shows very well he's on the road. People start stoning him. He runs away. He ran away with his gun. How many meters? About 50 meters. And then they caught up with him, cut his hand, but he never. Now, can you compare that one with somebody who was just abused? Nini too. And then the man runs away and you follow him. Just like just like I've been telling, like I was talking. I mean, I've been sending messages to Lagat. I don't know whether he gets the message. Is supposing, yes, whatever Albert Omonti Ojwang did annoyed you, and yes, these two cops, whatever Boniface Mwangi Karaoke said to you annoyed you. Suppose you would have ignored and moved on. Just supposing. Yeah. Just supposing. You remember, you would be safely in your place of work, things would be going on. Even spending. I'm even talking about this other second cop who was released because of lack of evidence. The days he has spent in the cells, the psychological, it will be there with him for the rest of his life. But the abuses, maybe I would have annoyed him for a week or two. But here whatever happened, even if he has been released, it will affect him for a decade or two. Sometimes, and that is what is taught in Kiganjo, sometimes just let things go. I remember when I was a recruit in Kiganjo, and very many courses in the police have attended. If everybody who has committed a crime is taken to court, then even the magistrate themselves would be taken to court. It is just that we don't we don't pursue each and every case. Some of them we just uh, let them go because maybe they're even wasting your valuable time. You'd have been doing something else more valuable. You pursue to seek for justice, and when you pursue, Lagat pursued, Nani died, Albert Omondi Ojwang died, Boniface has died, Very many shops, very many supermarkets have been banned and whatever, just because Eliud Lagat, a person who has worked in almost, apart from AP, he has worked in all services. And rumors has it that he was being groomed to be the next IGP. Why didn't he just? So that is what we were taught in Kiganjo, and that is what people usually do. There are so many people. Yes, it is hurting and it is whatever, but some things you just move on. The physical beating that Boniface faced without resistance should should have ended there. There even more than what Boniface is said to have said. After subduing him, they should have either arrested him or released him after a verbal warning. The act of him bolding was enough for them to pretend to be chasing him and let the matter chase. Ile unamkimbiza alafu unasema kwenda huko, siku ingine nikikushika utaona. But then came the shot, the fatal shot. If you look at the way the two were leaving the scene, if you look at the way the two were leaving, it is obvious that they did not appreciate the effect of what had occurred. It never occurred to them. Actually, it is only later that they came to realize that they have done a grave mistake. That comes to the training. That comes to the training. And that is why I said, with the due respect to the judiciary, we have to talk about it, because it is very important for us to appreciate that. During our time, maybe because most of like 2/3 of my classmates had never seen a Form 1 classroom. Maybe because of their low level of education, our low level of education during my time, a lot of classwork was reduced and a lot of physical work was done. It is quite possible that today, Kiganjo, they are teaching more of classwork than going out to the riot drill, It is obvious from that milliseconds when you watch it from an expert's opinion, he shoots and walks away. These two of them did not appreciate what we were taught in 83. I joined the recruit in November 27th, so I was there just in December 82, and most of the training were in 83. Now, we were taught the 3 bullets, the 3 ammunition. We were taught about blank, we were taught about rubber bullet, and lastly, we were taught about live bullet. I can tell you from reviewing that video, these people did not know. They were not, or we have some people whom when they complete school, they say, hiyo ilikuwa ya Kiganjo. This is what is said. And that is a very big lesson that can take an hour. So I'll be very brief. They say that blank bullets are not lethal. But if you hold the muzzle, ukishika mdomo wa bunduki, and somebody fires the blank bullet, your hand will be burned. It will be like as if you are carrying a red hot charcoal or coal. So a blank is only dangerous if you hold the muzzle, mdomo ya bunduki. Then we were taught, imagine our class had full of people who had never seen Form 1. We were taught that a rubber bullet fired from a close range can be it is lethal. These 2 police officers did not know, they had no capacity of knowing that firing a rubber bullet from close quarters could be lethal. They didn't know. That is why they just thought that rubber bullet was just like a blank bullet. Or they thought that, okay, we were taught that, let's say 10 or more, 10 or more meters from the rifle is where the rubber bullet is performs well, if I can say that. But less than 10 meters, rubber bullet is as lethal as a live bullet. They did not know that. So they were 3 meters. He was 3 meters from Boniface Mwangi, and he fired it, which is, he should have maybe let him go to 10 or even 15 or 20. But he fired him when he was 2 to 3 meters. 2 to 20 or so, it will remind me, is it Nakuru or Eldoret lady, the lady journalist who had a few bullets in her leg. That is how rubber bullets are from a distance. It's unfortunate that the president did not even tell the police to shoot with rubber bullets, but his was just an open statement which could even justify usage of live bullets. So what I'm trying to say here is that these two police officers, especially the one who pulled the trigger, did not know that. They thought that rubber bullet from a, they were, I don't know. From a distance, if you shoot using a rubber bullet, unless you aim the vital organs, then rubber bullets is safe to shoot from a distance. 10 meters, yeah. What are the vital areas? The eye, the ear, because the ear would be damaged forever. The eye, the ear, the heart, the head. Now here he's hitting him at the head from 2 meters. He's supposed to have used rubber bullets to shoot him in the leg or somewhere like that from 20 meters. But he's using it to aim at the head in 2 meters. So they did not know that a rubber bullet could be lethal from close quarters and having aimed at vital organs. They did not participate in the first aid. They walked away, meaning that they did not know. They just thought, like the case of is it Eldoret or Nakuru, journalist lady. She was shot on the leg with several bullets. The person who shot her just walked away because he knew that it was just to demobilize her temporary. Of course, she will have a permanent scar, but that is how it happens when it is from far and not on the vital organs. But in vital organs, eyes, ears, brain, and then again close quarters, it could be lethal. That is what I'm keeping on repeating. Today's cops are more educated than during my time, because I don't think that if you have less than a D plus, you can be employed in the police. But do they appreciate the education? I remember we were repeatedly told that a rubber bullet could be lethal when shot in vital areas, as I've just said. When shot from close quarter, just as I've said. But the two did not appreciate the lethal effect of it. They most likely thought that it was like a blank bullet. I am also shocked that whenever we have issues, you get wananchi busy doing first aid. Remember, the police are trained in first aid. So I'm asking myself, does Kiganjo still train people in first aid? Because during my time, first aid was compulsory. And I can tell you, during my time, you could fail any exam. But if you failed first aid, you could not. That was compulsory. Although we used to have a plan that these St. John's people, when they came for first aid exams, and they told you to do something that you found it a bit hard, because they would come to a class, like our class was 33 people. So they would say, we fanya uh, fanya nini plaster ya mguu, we fanya plaster ya mkono, fanya plaster ya mtu amedungwa kisu shingo. So he goes around, and when when he tells you something that is a bit hard for you, you do another plaster that you are very used to, and then take use. Mwalimu liniambia plaster ya mkono, so then they mark and whatever. But that Mwakenya started before Mwakenya, because that was the time before Mwakenya. But what I'm trying to say is that during our time, first aid was compulsory, and we were told from day one that first aid, if you don't pass it, that is the only lesson I found in Kiganjo, where if you fail, you would not be sent to the field. We had people when we were recruits who were having had to understand a few things while they were recruits, including handling firearms. What Kiganjo used to do was, you complete your time and you are not good in, say, even firearms. What they did is that they followed silently to where you are posted and informed your bosses that you are not good in firearms or something. So that first of all, you are assigned duties that does not include usage of firearms. And then silently they take you to furthermore practices on firearm in the first 2 years. So that in the first 2 years, when everybody is being confirmed as a police officer, they are, and you see things like making a file, taking people to court. They used to take people, specific people to do that. But when it came to things that as firearm, they used to make sure that everybody within 2 years is knowledgeable in firearm. But nowadays, if someone does not know, somebody is standing 2 feet from a target, and he pulls out the what do you call, the trigger, and he thinks that he has shot at that person from 200 meters. And again, in the 200 meters, you don't aim at vital organs. You don't aim at vital organs. And he walks just the way, if I look at the way, if I remember the way the two are walking away, is that they do not know what has just happened. They do not just know what has just happened. During my time, failure to first aid would lead to disqualification during your time. So what I would want to say is that we need, apart from what people are fighting for, an intergenerational discussion, we should also have a lot of discussions with the police, to an extent that, first of all, from the top, they are fearful of the political class. And the political class is giving them wrong instructions, while even not fearing the repercussion, or even not even noting that the press is around or whatever. I think things should start from the top. And I would also request Scouts and St. John's. I would request that Scout and St. John's do spend a lot of time practicing first aid with the police. I have seen cases where during our time, anything happening to any person, the first person to rush to where somebody has been injured used to be police officers. Today, even instances where the police are the ones who have shot and harmed the person, they are the first people to run away from the scene. It is only recommended that police run away from the scene if they have a feeling that their security is not guaranteed. But anything happening today, anything happening and the police officer is nearby, the police officer would find that as reasonable excuse to run away from the scene. But during our time, any injury that was happening, police would be in the forefront trying to assassinate the person. We should do something about it.